Continuing from part 11, this is part 12. Now I have a clean mold. As a separator for the silicone, I'm using Murphy's oil soap. I apply a layer of Murphy's soap on the molds. I apply it with a sponge, and I like using the rubber glove. It can be quite messy. I'm using Dragon Skin to do the silicone eyelid test. Dragon Skin comes from smoothon.com. Dragon Skin is a platinum cured silicone. It's a mixture of 1 part A and 1 part B. To add tint to the silicone, I added oil-based paint just to get me some type of color. I pour a small bit of Dragon Skin into the mold, then I close the mold and I apply pressure. For this test, I place these weights on top of the mold just to keep pressure. 12 hours later, I demold. Smoothon says you can demold faster, like 5 hours. There was no silicone fluid added to this eyelid test. This is just straight Dragon Skin. I filled the socket with clay, use it as a block out. Then I poured in smooth cast polyurethane plastic from Smoothon. This plastic will represent the skull, but it's a thin layer also. I demold about 15 minutes later. I remove the skull piece, and I also remove the Dragon Skin, and I place it on a test fit on the eye. I glue the skull piece with 6-minute epoxy, and I place it onto a piece of plexiglass. The hole that I cut out on the eyepiece, that's for the mechanics of the eye. I enlarge it somewhat so I can maybe get a different type of movement. I trim away the flash from the skin. Now once again, this is a test. Now some of this screws and bolts of the eye mechanics would be shaved down or cut away or made somewhat tighter. Now it's time for gluing. I tried 3 times to get the skin to stick, doing some tests. Most of the liquid nail stuff failed, but the 4th try worked. This material from DAP. It's a clear silicone for aquariums. I applied a thin layer of silicone onto the skull piece. Then I laid down the Dragon Skin. And once again I placed a weight on top of this. Now let this dry for at least 20 hours. I noticed that my eyelids are somewhat thick. This is dental acrylic. And later on test I will make these eyelids thinner. Now I'm applying a thin layer, like a strip of silicone, at the edge of each eyelid. Then I lay the skin in place, and then I press down to secure the fit. To keep pressure on the lids, I added these hair clips. I just gently slid it. Now I have pulled the eye back somewhat. This will allow me to give some pressure on the lid to make good contact with the silicone adhesive. And I also allowed this to set up for 20 hours, and it gave a really good bond. I'm really impressed with this DAP material. Now I'm manually moving the servo to create this movement. For this test, now I only connected the eyelids to the eye mechanism. So there's no hardware connecting to the plexiglass. The only thing it's holding is the silicone adhesive. As you see here, I'm holding the eyelid in place. The only thing attached is the silicone adhesive. I apologize about the condition of these shots. The lighting's awful in this room. For the movements, I'm using a 25 servo controller from Endurance RC. This is a great controller. It needs work, but this is the test. I've learned a lot from these tests, and I want to share them. I hope this helps. I really enjoy doing these tests.